Can you give us any clue as to who was on the panel? What type of professionals they appointed to the panel?
I don't have that list in front of me, Joe. It's available on iom.edu, but they did have a few people on the panel with a little bit of vitamin D experience, but not much. And their experience certainly was not in the epidemiological realm at all, like Dr. Garland's. And what was disturbing to some of our panel, the vitamin D researchers, was that a number of them had been recommended or volunteered to be on the panel, and they were explicitly rejected.
It is somewhat disturbing, and trying to understand if there's any potential conflict of interest here. There's clearly none from the vitamin D researchers. I mean, vitamin D is probably one of the least expensive supplements anyone can purchase, and there's really not a difference in the quality of the vitamin D. In other words, you can find the least expensive generic one, as long as it's vitamin D3, it's pretty much going to work. I mean, unless there's an unethical company making it and it's not labeled correctly. But so it's not, I mean, you can get a year's worth for well under $100, probably $50, therapeutic levels. So it's just, there's not a lot of money to be made on this thing, certainly from the researchers who are trying to promote it. The other component would be you don't even have to take a supplement at all. You can just get it for free from the sun, but of course many of us aren't going to be able to do that in the winter. It seems that one of the pervasive thoughts from our perspective, there's still this underlying belief that exposure to the sun is dangerous. And that if you just look at natural approaches, I mean, our ancestors for millennia have been exposed to sunshine and most lived in climates where they're exposed to it all year and didn't wear a lot of clothing. So they had levels that far exceeded 20 nanograms per milliliter. Probably much closer to 70, 80, or even 90. And I mean, this is what our ancestors grew up on for thousands of years. This is our human genome was exposed to. So, I mean, just from that perspective, it seems beyond ludicrous to expect to produce health with levels that are anything much lower than that, which is what they concluded.
I think it's one of those kind of slaps in the face to what they promoted as evidence-based medicine. When you choose to exclude a lot of evidence, you're not really doing evidence-based medicine. They had a very narrow definition of what they looked at. So,
yeah, I guess if you set up the stage properly, you can choose to make a logical, valid justification for just about any approach or recommendation. And it appears to what's happened here. So.
Well, our position at this point is that people still need to proceed with, again, what our scientist panel recommends, which is a minimum of 40 nanograms per milliliter. And even with the IOM saying that 4,000 IU a day is the upper limit, hey, if everybody started doing that, we'd really have a lot of success.
Yeah, that would, in my view, I'm sure yours too, that would get the majority of people into a therapeutically healthy range. That would leave many people would not with that levels. And I've certainly seen, I'm sure you have too, people who need double that or even more to get to a level that's going to make a difference. So, and just for those listeners who aren't familiar with it, most healthy people who are exposed to sunshine on a significant portion of their skin, sun from a healthy dose, like a semi-tropical sun, are going to get upwards of 10 or 20,000 units. So to believe that anything beyond 4,000 units is unsafe when you can easily get that just by exposing your skin to sunshine is just foolish.
There are two big studies coming out. I mean, one of the things that I totally believe in is the science and the pervasiveness of it. The Hollis and Wagner study on the pregnant and lactating women is due out in the not too distant future. And I think that's going to almost put the IOM to rest because of the high levels, or at least what would be considered high levels, the 4,000 IU to the pregnant women and 6,400 IU to lactating moms. And they had no adverse events. They had tremendous reduction in the comorbidities of pregnancy. And I think that is going to shake up this current recommendation immensely. And while it's not a clinical trial, even the grassroots health cohort study, which we're doing right now, our first paper will be out in a few months, and it's going to shake up things. We've got more than 8,000 people, Joe, now participating in this. We have people in the 40 to 60 plus range. We have people taking dosages or intake values from zero beyond 10,000 IU a day and we have had no reports, absolutely no reports, of even achieving potential levels that predispose one to have toxicity, such as 200 nanograms per milliliter. So I think that
probably haven't gotten anyone over 100, more than likely.
I've gotten some, but they have to be taking really high levels to get there.
Okay, so, well, that's good. I think that's correct, that most likely the media is going to be very receptive to those types of reports and get probably wider spread exposure than this report did, the recommendation from the IOM. And I think Dr. Hollis actually gave preliminary findings at a conference of that study, but it wasn't formally published. So, and that we'll certainly promote that as much as we can, so that we can spread the word about this. And I'm just wondering too if you can give us maybe a little update on sort of interim results that you've experienced so far with your own study with the Grassroots Health, and particularly how it relates to our readers, because I believe that you're identifying them as a subgroup, and how they compare to other findings you've been observing.
One of the most significant findings is that how much intake it takes to get to some of these higher levels. For example, there has been a rule of thumb that for each 1,000 international units, for ease of calculation, you could get about 10 nanogram per milliliter rise. For example, if you had a really low 10 and you wanted to get to 20, it would take about 1,000 international units. I've been using that kind of as a rule of thumb for, fine, I'm at 40 and I want to get to 60, so I should take 2,000 IU, okay? Well, it doesn't work that way. What we are finding is that once you get actually above 30, the amount of rise that you get for each dosage is considerably less. Like, for example, between 40 and 60, make it between 40 and 50. You'd have to take about 2,000 international units. You'd only get a 5 nanogram per milliliter rise for each 1,000 IU, not 10. And it tends to really, really, really flatten out the farther up that you go, so that the amount of rise that you get for your supplement intake is considerably lower. And what this means is that people have to take a lot more. Like it's going to take about 6,000 IU a day to get about 90-95% of the population above 40 nanograms per milliliter. And so that's just what it takes.
Yeah, and some people, of course, will need more. So have you found anything interesting about our readers that are participating in your study?
At this point, I don't have any data, again, in front of me that I can refer to, Joe, so we will look at it.
Okay. All right, well, I'm sure you'll have some interesting associations. I want to thank you for the update and help us get a better grip about this, around this.
To our website, I would appreciate that, because they can...
Oh, sure, yeah, the Grassroots Health, we'll put a link on that for our readers, and they still can participate in your study, right? That's still open?
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah, and why don't you just describe what that is? Because for a very reasonable fee, typically lower than you'd be able to purchase the test for yourself almost at any lab, unless your insurance paid for it, you'll be able to get these vitamin D tests. And this is, I mean, you're not making any money on this. This doesn't even, I mean, this is all of voluntary donations just to even run the study. I mean, the only thing they're being charged for is the actual cost of the test.
So actually, at a sponsorship, if anybody can participate and or help sponsor the study by paying $65. It varies. It could be $60. But anyway, for each participation, and what we want people to do is to participate twice a year or each 6 months to do a test and to fill out a health questionnaire, which we have online. It's very simple. The vitamin D test is one that people, it's simple to do. They prick their finger and mail in a blood spot card, and they get their results. And we are very, very appreciative.
Okay, well, great. So we'll put a link to that and how they can participate for it. So thank you for all you're doing and continue to do and will do, because you're really making a big difference for so many people's health, even though they don't know of it, because you're the person behind the scenes that's really pushing this and helping people really take full advantage of the benefits that this simple therapy has to offer for them.
Joe, I thank you very much for your help.
Okay, well, thanks again. I appreciate it.